What's going on, everyone? Or as they say in Panama, que sopa, mi gente. Welcome to Soulfire Stories, where we explore the musical traditions of different cultures around the world. I'm Jericho Law, and today we're starting with Panama. Soulfire Stories! Panama, a land of wild beauty, of warm hearts, and a fire that lives in its music. Here, you don't just listen to music, you live it. From the mountains of Azuero to the Caribbean coast, these sounds continue to echo, carried by the people who sing them, who play them, and who pass them forward from one generation to the next. Wait, just hold on a second. I'm sure you're all wondering, who is this guy? Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jericho Law, and I know what you're thinking, and yes, that's a very good name. I'm a musician from California. I'm 42 years old, and I've been teaching music for over 18 years. I hold a degree in jazz piano, but my greatest education has come from the world itself. I'm passionate about traveling, learning, and connecting through music. Soulfire Stories was born from a desire to share the richness and legacy of traditional music from different countries and cultures. Panama holds a very special place in my heart. Its people, its history, and its music have deeply impacted me. Everything I do here comes from a place of respect, admiration, and reverence for these traditions. Now, before we get started, we've got to define what folk music is. There are 6 characteristics of folk music: oral transmission, anonymity, and collectivity, cultural roots, constant evolution, functionality, and traditional instrumentation. To sum it up, it's music that comes from and is inspired by everyday life. All right, now let's get right to it. Soulfire Stories was birthed from a very simple question. What are the stories behind the traditional music of each country? And what elements do they share with the music of other cultures? I want to know if and how these stories are being passed down to the future generations. I have 2 theses. No way. I have 2 theses. Folk music as a universal human expression can bridge cultural divides by fostering mutual understanding and appreciation of diverse traditions. In an age of rapid globalization and digital transformation, preserving these traditions is more important than ever. In Panama, there's an important distinction between what's known as typical music, música típica, and what we might call commercial music. Typical music is deeply connected to tradition, to the provinces, to festivals, to dance, and to instruments like the accordion, drums, and the mejorana. Commercial music, on the other hand, includes elements from styles like reggae, salsa, and pop, sounds that are often shaped by global audiences. But even in commercial music, you can still hear the roots, in the rhythms, in the phrasing, and in the storytelling. In this episode, I'll be referring to both as 2 branches of the same musical tree. By the way, in this episode, you're gonna hear me say it a lot. It's Panama. It's not Panama. So get used to it. I recognize 2 distinct flavors of the traditional music of Panama. There's music that just has drum and voice, like this. And then there's music with extra instrumentation. There's accordion, a little guitar called a mejorana, violin, and drums of all different shapes and sizes. Sometimes they're singing and sometimes it's just instrumental, but they always have this distinct Panamanian flavor. Traditional music is deeply connected to tradition, to the provinces, to patron saint festivals, to dance, and to instruments like the accordion, drums, and the mejorana. It's the music that's danced to in conjuntos típicos, or gatherings of typical music. There's also a big distinction between the music of the different provinces of Panama. At the moment, there's 10 provinces, and each one has its own distinct flavor. El tamborito santeño. El tambor cortecacho de Azuero. Tambor coclesano. Tamborito chiricano. Cumbia chorreana. Bullerengue panameño de Darién. Tamborito darienito. The province of Colón has its own distinct musical style called Congo, and I'll explore that more in depth later in this episode. Right now, let's explore the characteristics of the typical music of Panama. There's a few characteristics of the traditional music of Panama that really define it. In general, it's a lot more rhythmic than harmonic, and this is due to the heavy influence of both African and indigenous cultures. Their simple melodies, usually stepwise in their intervals, that are really catchy. But sometimes they use bigger intervals in really cool ways. Oh my God, I love that song so much. Oh my God, it's so good. The vocals are often characterized by something called the saloma. This is the saloma. This is interesting. In Papua New Guinea, they have something very similar to the saloma. Is there a connection? I guess I'll have to check it out and let you know. They have a word for that distinct texture that the singers have. It's really strong, it's really powerful, and there's kind of like a gloss on top of it, and that's called el galillo. It's subtle, it's punchy, and it's uniquely Panamanian. And something very characteristic of this music is the use of call and response. So there'll be one singer and they sing a phrase, and then there's a group of singers that follows and copies that exact phrase. You hear a lot of American gospel music, which is of course also inspired by African traditions.
Everywhere I go, there's an angel there. There's an angel there.
I'm now going to share with you some of the artists that have really shaped and influenced the traditional music of Panama. Not surprisingly, this section is called Artists. There's a lot of famous musical artists from Panama. Ruben Blades, Sech, Flex, Los Racas, Los Rabanes, El General, Nano Boom, Renato, Apachines, Bossa, Joy Montana, Cafu Bantan, and Comando Tiburon. But in this episode, I'm only going to talk about the musical artists of the traditional music from Panama. I'm talking about Dorindo Cárdenas, Yin Carrizo, Osvaldo Ayala, Alfredo Escudero, Lucho de Cedas, Fito Espino, Seferino Nieto, and Colaquito Cortés. Through their accordions, their voices, and their compositions, they turned everyday stories into songs that became part of the country's cultural memory. Each brought their own style, but all shared the same purpose: to represent the spirit of the Panamanian people. Today, their legacy lives on in every performance, every dance, and every new generation that continues to keep the tradition alive. Before the accordion became the most recognized sound of Panamanian folk music, other instruments were already shaping this tradition. The violin played an important role in early ensembles, often carrying the melody in rural dances and celebrations. Alongside it is the mejorana, a traditional 5-string guitar, deeply connected to sung poetry and the cultural traditions of Panama's interior. Together, they represent an earlier chapter of Panamanian musical identity that still lives on today. By the way, if you're a native Spanish speaker or if you want to work on your Spanish listening skills, I did a version of this episode in Spanish and you can check it out. The link is in the description. There's actually an instrument that I did not mention in that episode. It's essential not only to Panamanian music but also to most traditional music in Latin America. I'm talking about the tambor, and it's a blanket term that refers to all different kinds of drums. To hear a couple of Panamanian tambores, specifically the cocle, and here's the pujador de adentro, repicador, pujador de afuera, and then the caja is a little bit shorter. It's got a lower pitch, kind of more like, you can think of it like a kick drum, if you will. And all 4 of them combined are used in different ways depending on the province of Panama. The tambor, or drum, is one of the most essential voices in Latin American music. Long before modern instruments, rhythm was the heartbeat of community, storytelling, and celebration. And the tambor carries that heartbeat. Across Latin America, the tambor has deep roots in African, indigenous, and even European traditions. It's not just an instrument, it's communication. It calls people to gather, it drives dancers, and it gives music its pulse. In Panama, the tambor plays a central role in traditional styles like tamborito. Here, you'll often hear a conversation between drums. The repicador improvising, the pujador holding the groove, and the caja locking everything together. It's raw, it's alive, and it's deeply connected to the people. What makes the tambor special is that it doesn't just keep time, it tells a story. Every rhythm carries history, culture, and identity. So when you hear the tambor, you're not just hearing a beat, you're hearing generations speaking. Now the accordion is to Panamanian folk music what the lead guitar is to rock music. And there's a ton of great Panamanian accordionists that have shared their talents with the world. The first rock star of the accordion, if you will, was Rogelio Cordova. He took a lot of pieces written for the violin and interpreted them on the accordion. Following in his footsteps came other greats like Dorindo Cárdenas, Seferino Nieto, and Yin Carrizo. La música típica of Panama continues to evolve through contemporary artists like Sammy and Sandra Sandoval, Nenito Vargas, and Victorio Vergara. The last time I was in Panama in July 2025, I found out about an accordion contest thanks to Junior Frias. He told me about it on Instagram, and I said, okay, where is it? He told me that it was in Los Santos, and that's a province of Panama. And it's about 4.5 hours from the capital, but hey, I'd rented a car, so I said, yo, let's go. So come join me on my adventure to the accordion contest in Los Santos. This is gonna be a great day. I'm going to an accordion contest named for the great accordionist Victorio Vergara, and it's in Los Santos, which is about 4.5 hours away from Panama City. So let's hit the road. From Panama City, I drove about 4.5 hours to Los Santos to be present for an accordion contest dedicated to the legacy of the legendary accordionist Victorio Vergara. I thought it'd be cool that you guys know a little about how it is just driving here in Panama. It's cool, like you pass through a lot of little towns and then there's open space, but it's very green. The thing that surprised me, I guess, is that the speed limit's a lot slower than it is in the United States. And I'm going about 90 kilometers an hour. See all the localcitos, you got the fondas, the places where you can get like local food, and they have them everywhere. So I'm gonna get there around 3, so we'll see. Or I might stop to eat, we'll figure it out. Before the event, I made a stop at Tu Fonda Gourmet. That's La Fonda de Junior Frias. Think of a fonda like Panama's version of a roadside diner. Limonada is one of the best things I've ever had in my life. It's so good. The contest supposedly was going to start about 7, but as things tend to happen, it really started around 8:30. There are 2 categories, one for the adolescents and one for the adults. And all of the contestants performed their version of a song composed by Victorio Vergara. While I was listening, I was thinking of what I would have looked for if I was a judge. Of course, good rhythm, a good execution of the melody, and extra points for good phrasing and improvisation. I think he's gonna win. We'll see what happens. There he is, Victor Ballesteros. I should have said hi, but I didn't. But I should have. I couldn't stay to see the results because I hadn't gotten an Airbnb or anything in Los Santos, and so I had to go back 4.5 hours to Panama City. I left around 11:30, so you can only imagine what time I actually got to my Airbnb. Later, I found out that Zaid Gutierrez had won for the category of the adults. Congrats, bro. Before we keep going, real quick, do me a huge favor and like this video, subscribe to the Soulfire Stories channel, and share this video with 3 friends. Or more than 3 if you want. I appreciate it. On the Caribbean coast of Colón, one of Panama's most powerful cultural traditions is still alive: Congo music and dance. I had the privilege of interviewing one of the practitioners of this tradition. I spoke with El Personaje Pichón de Duendo, a nationally recognized figure who's at the forefront of keeping this musical tradition alive. He refers a lot to the culture Congo, so that implies that it's a lot more than just singing and dancing.
No es tocar Congo por tocar Congo. ¿sí? Porque al tocar el tambor le estamos dando honor a nuestra madre tierra y a nuestros ancestros.
In this tradition, the singers are called cantalantes and the drummers are called tamboreros. According to Pichonde, there's a lot of different beats in this musical tradition.
Porque hay golpe atravesado, golpe corrido, como golpe alegre. Y entonces hay que meterle oído a los golpes del tambor.
Born of the pain, resistance, and resilience of enslaved Africans during the colonial era, this tradition transformed history into art. It seems like in the music of Congo, there's nothing written down, and that adheres to one of the characteristics of folk music, which is just oral transmission. And that makes a lot of sense, because if I'm trying to get the information to somebody in the shortest amount of time possible, I'm just gonna sing it to them. Like, yo, it goes like bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum. You got it? That's the way you get a musical message across. Si tuvieras que enseñar a alguien cómo tocar, ¿cómo empezarías con esta persona?
Primero le enseño cómo tienen que entrar en el tambor, a dónde tú tienes que repicar, y ahí le voy indicando cada ritmo. El ritmo atravesado, tienes que ir un poco más rápido. Hay un golpe que es sentado, que tiene que ir un poco más lento, y decisivamente se van enseñando.
Something I'm not 100% clear on in not only Congo, but other traditional Panamanian musical styles, is that if the drumming is improvised, when I listen to a lot of it, it sounds like it changes a lot, and I'm not sure if it's because that's just the way it is, or if there's specific patterns that they start with and then they branch off from it. A lot of Afro-Cuban rhythms like the rumba, mambo, cha-cha-cha, and the songo, they follow a very specific rhythmic pattern. Through drums, song, and movement, generations preserve their identity and their voice. Every rhythm, every step, every character tells a story of struggle, of freedom, of memory. What we're seeing isn't just a performance, it's a living tradition passed down from one generation to the next.
Cuando me hablan sobre esa cultura, mi cuerpo se me espeluca, porque como que me traslado al tiempo de ellos. Me traslado como que ellos estuvieran aquí ahora mismo, como ellos dejaron ese amor de su cultura en diferentes partes del mundo.
Big thanks to Pichon Duendo for the information, for the interview. When I spoke to him, I really felt like this project started getting legs. I hope to speak to him again when I'm in Panama in June and to go see one of his performances. If you'd like to see the full interview with him, the link is in the description. And be sure to follow him on Instagram. I just want to throw this out there that this is not the encyclopedia, this is not the end-all be-all of information about the traditional Panamanian music. I'm learning new things about it every day, and the journey is the most beautiful part. If you're from Panama and you feel like I should dive more into the topic or get more specific, then please let me know. This will not be the only episode about the music from Panama. Also, if you're not from Panama, but there's something specific that you want to know, then let me know in the comments as well. I could totally nerd out for an hour about the harmonic patterns and the different intervals of different melodies and the microtonal nature of certain vocal phrasings. If you want to know about that stuff, then let me know. I'm going back to Panama in June, and I intend to talk with more musicians, have more interviews, and more information about this beautiful music. ¿Para restaurar la pared aquí?
Poco a poco van haciendo ciertas restauraciones.
The first time I went to Panama in 2024, I had the privilege of talking with Karina Castillo. She's an educator, she's a musician, she plays guitar, she's a composer, and she has a group that is highly influenced by the traditional Panamanian music. She has a band called Kayomi, and their sound is heavily influenced by the folkloric music of Panama. She's a perfect example of the younger generation bridging the gap between the traditional and the modern.
En este caso, utilizamos como base principal la música panameña, nuestro folclore.
In our interview, we covered a lot of subjects.
¿Cómo nació la banda Kayomi y cómo influyen los elementos de la música folclórica de Panamá en su sonido?
Así que avanzamos, luego conocimos justo a Carla cuando yo estudiaba en la universidad. Así que ella viene y trae sus instrumentos, en especial el tambor panameño. ¿Okay? Entonces ella viene a dañarnos la cabeza con nuestra música folclórica.
Ajá.
Y ser esa base rítmica muy fundamental para lo que es entonces, a partir de ahí, la música de Kayomi. Y entonces empieza a tener como base principal nuestros ritmos folclóricos panameños. Para nosotros un elemento fundamental es el tambor panameño y los ritmos panameños. Entonces de ahí nace todo ese picante folclórico que tiene la música de Cabo.
Artists like Karina Castillo represent a new generation of musicians that are exploring ways to keep the musical traditions alive. They mix elements of the traditional music of Panama with modern sounds, creating a bridge between the cultural roots of the country and the panorama of contemporary music.
¿Qué te atrae personalmente a la música folclórica de Panamá?
Esa atracción hacia la música folclórica es, vuelvo y te digo, está en todas partes. Escuchas un tambor, escuchas que se une la gente a cantar o a tocar y ya.
If you'd like to see the full interview with Karina, the link is in the description. Now, Soulfire Stories isn't just for the older types. It's for the whole family. And this next section is called For the Babies! So everybody gather around. This section is simply designed, I changed my shirt. This section is simply designed to show kids from all over the world what kids from other countries sing. Karina Castillo told me that there's two main songs that all the kids from Panama sing.
Uno aprende y también escuchando por todas partes el Viva Panamá, ¿no? Y el tambor de la alegría.
El Tambor de la Alegría and Viva Panama. First, I'll let you hear a snippet of each one, and then I'll show you the lyrics. They are so cute. Wow. It does not get cuter than that. El Tambor de la Alegría was written in 1918 by Juan Pastor Paredes and Carmen Langdon. Juan wrote the lyrics and Carmen wrote the music. A real Bernie Taupin, Elton John situation. The song was originally created to promote a dance spot called El Tambor de la Alegría. The lyrics say, Panameña, Panameña, Panameña vida mía. Yo quiero que tú me lleves al tambor de la alegría. Por los santos de la tierra y por la Virgen María, yo quiero que tú me lleves al tambor de la alegría. The version by Los Chalchaleros in 1961 is a hit.
Panameña, Panameña, Panameña vida mía.
And here's Viva Panama. The lyrics and the music of Viva Panama were written by Dagoberto Yin Carrizo. He only was 13 years old at the time. Justin Bieber, eat your heart out. He didn't write Baby, did he? Oh, he did. Well, him and like 6 other people. Dagoberto did it all by his lonesome, so he wins. The lyrics of Viva Panama say, Viva Panamá, qué linda eres, con su bello puente y su canal, con la gracia de sus mujeres, que viva Panamá. Panamá, qué linda eres, que viva Panamá, con su pollera montuna, que viva Panamá. La pollera is the traditional dress that the women wear. So those are a couple of songs that los peladitos de Panama sing in school, on the playground, and in the traditional festivals. The next time that you hear one, you can sing along too. Oh, this is my jam too. DJ, spin it. This series is looking to uncover the stories behind the music. Here are some of the themes of the traditional music of Panama. Panamanian folk music is more than just rhythm and dance. It's a reflection of everyday life, history, and identity. Many songs explore themes of love and heartbreak, stories of connection, loss, and deep emotion that resonate across generations.
Hasta que llegaste tú, nunca fui tan feliz. Me dejas por tu amor llorando.
Stories about romantic encounters, saying goodbye, jealousy, and deep feelings that are just a part of everyday life.
Y no quiero que nadie respire de tu aliento.
Others focus on costumbrismo, capturing local traditions, community life, and the unique characters that define each region. Nature and rural life are also central themes, with music that paints vivid pictures of the countryside, the land, and the people who live closely connected to it. But this music is also about celebration. During festivals and Carnival, the rhythms come alive as entire communities gather to dance, sing, and celebrate together. There's also a strong sense of nostalgia. Songs that reflect on the past, on hometowns, and on memories that continue to shape identity. And through it all, there's a deep sense of national pride, a love for Panama, its people, and its cultural roots. Through these themes, Panamanian folk music becomes much more than entertainment. It becomes the voice of the people. So to wrap things up, I just want to share my personal feelings about the música típica of Panama. It makes me feel, which is really important because not all music does that to you. And I feel something deeply rooted, something earthy, something that makes me want to move, but something that feels familiar at the same time. I want to breathe deeply. I want to hear the sound of the wind through the trees. It makes you feel the way music should, just alive, you know? And there's this energy, I just want to move my body, especially when I hear this. I don't know, man. It's really good. That's a really good song. Like I said before, this is only the beginning of the musical journey. I appreciate you for coming along. That was like real Mr. Rogers right there. Legend. I'll be in Panama in June and I'm gonna have more time to talk to people, to learn more about the music, to experience music, to learn how to play some of it as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun, and more importantly, I hope you learned something about the beautiful music of Panama. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and as always, keep the fire burning.
Esto es la serie de Jericho
Desde Panamá.
en bomba.
Eso. Me encanta. En bomba. Ya está aprendiendo demasiado.